right, guys, I've been playing a bit of Season of Discovery. What season? What's fucking World of Warcraft? Song of Strife. Season of Discovery. I've been playing Song of Strife on AFK Journey. Welcome to the channel, Excoundrel AFK Journey here. I've just released an Alsa guide as well, but this, I want to talk about the seasonal skills, because now that I am kind of at the point where I'm almost getting seasonal skills, I kind of want to have a look at every single hero and look at all the seasonal skills that they all have to offer. Now, having looked through some of them are quite similar, but let's just go through and look at them now. So, Florabelle increases the damage dealt to a target by 11% for 3 seconds after dealing damage to that target with normal attacks. This effect can't stack, and it just goes up by 1% every time. So, after you deal a damage to a target with normal attacks, you increase the damage by 11%. What's this going to be good for? Well, it helps Florabelle focus target a unit, but also potentially increases Florabelle's efficacy on single target bosses, because that is an 11% increase on a boss where the only target is going to be Florabelle. So Florabelle's only going to be targeting that boss, and she's going to deal 11% all the way up to 16%. All the way up to 18% if you get to season level 401. Season level 401? Bloody hell. Didn't even realize it went that far. So potentially increases her single target efficacy, which could be very interesting. Right, now on to Smokey and Meerky. We're going to quick fire this because we've got loads. Every 5 seconds, increases the attack by 13% and haste by 11 for 3 seconds for the ally that has dealt the most damage and has a HP ratio above 75%. Does that mean it stacks like... Okay, right, this is what I need to know. Obviously just increases the haste bonus and the attack bonus. Is that stacking? Because that can't be stacking. That would be surely broken. So every 5 seconds just going to increase someone's attack and haste by 3 seconds for an ally that has dealt the most damage and has a HP ratio above 75%. So, works really well with Smokey and Meerky. He generally tends to maintain people's HP ratios. Sounds like it would be a great addition for pretty much any stage, but also, again, Smokey and Meerky already pretty good in Dream Realm bosses. I can see this making Smokey and Meerky in combination with Marillee very strong in a Dream Realm scenario. So that's really exciting. Yeah, very excited about that one, guys. That is very cool. I'm assuming it doesn't stack. It just means that they're going to get a 3-second buff, and then it will do it again in 2 seconds after that. So basically, 3-second uptime, 5... Yeah, so it can't stack, obviously, because it's only for 3 seconds. So 3-second uptime, 2-second downtime, cast every 5 seconds. Cool. Let's have a look at Thorin now. Increases the damage dealt to a target by 11%. Okay, so the same as Florabelle. Not particularly strong for Thorin, because he's not exactly a huge damage dealer, but obviously can be very useful in combination with his ultimate, and also taking into account making the target receive more damage for the rest of battle. But it is increasing the damage dealt to a target just by Thorin. So I wouldn't say the most useful skill for Thorin there. Right, we'll go into Cassadee. Focus it. Gain 16 crit and 13 haste when there are no enemies within a tile radius for the last 3 seconds. This effect ends 1 second after an enemy approaches. So that's pretty good. High crit for Cassadee is quite nice, because especially when she's got where is it? Agonizing Puncture. And if you've got her at Supreme Plus, Agonizing Puncture is every other attack. So her basic attacks are going to have a high crit increase, which is really nice. Do I think it's going to suddenly make her better in boss scenarios? Probably not, because she's going to be competing with other units, but we'll have to see what the other people's seasonal skills are. Nice for Cassadee. Obviously, Mr. Carlisle also inherits these stats, so it's just going to increase Cassadee's damage overall. She generally tends to stay backline, so it's a nice seasonal ability. Going to ramp up her power significantly. This is what I'm excited about. My boy Odie. Arcane Barrage. Fires an extra projectile after every 3 normal attacks that hit a target, dealing 140% damage to the target. And I think that will also stack his poison as well. So that's pretty cool. And I guess also synergizes incredibly well with Triple Tap. And the attacks from the skill are considered normal attacks. So it's going to be Triple Tap plus another attack. So it's going to increase his single target damage. My boy Odie cooking on gas. Yeah, boy. Oh, Odie, let's go. That's a really, really nice seasonal skill for Odie. Right, Eironn. I've just got him to Supreme Plus, by the way. After... Oh, you already know. You already know. After casting the ultimate, he cast his ultimate at the start of the fight. Deals 125% damage to the current target with each of the next 4 skills or normal attacks. Okay, so... yeah, he's going to get 125 minutes of attack on a target after he casts his ultimate. That's going to give him, individually, a bit of burst damage, especially nice at the start of a fight when he casts his ultimate straight away. Very cool. And I think a really great skill for Eironn is going to increase his damage output as well. Okay, Marillee, I'm excited. This should be the crit one, surely. Arcane Barrage. Okay, so no, similar to Odie, single target focus after every 3 normal attacks. Works really well with Marillee because her attack damage goes up. May have been a bit OP because of her hero focus if her crit was going up. Because she gets a crit damage boost from hero focus. But that's still really good, and her single target damage is just going to get even better in that regard. So yeah, very, very, very exciting to see that one come through. Let's have a look at our boy. So Corin, exactly the same. Increases. So what we're getting here, any single target focused hero is generally getting Arcane Barrage because it's going to amplify their single target damage. So Corin, Odie, and Marillee all having the same seasonal effect. I did think... so this is the same as... so I did think that we wouldn't get individual skill effects for every single person because that would feel insane. This is the same as Eironn. So for anyone that hasn't played Alsa yet, she casts her ultimate very quickly into a fight. So essentially it's going to amplify her damage dealt to her current target, which is good because, you know, she's already quite high burst damage. If you've seen my Alsa video, she's got a high burst damage. So this is going to make her really good in that regard too. Let's have a look at Rowan. I assume this is going to be similar to... oh, Energy Surge. Recovers 3 energy every 90 Recovers 3 energy every 90 seconds after a battle start. 3 energy every 90 seconds. Are you sure that's the recovers 90 energy every 3 seconds? It's recovers 90 energy every 3 seconds, not 3 energy every 90 seconds, because that would be fucking awful. Anyway, just means he's going to cast his ultimate way quicker. So basically makes Thorin better at what he already does. Basically going to cast his ultimate even quicker into a fight. Carolina. Lock on projectiles. Shoot a projectile at the target for every 2 seconds your crowd control effects last on that target. Wow. So she already gets bonus from that from her Ice Vortex. So the snowballs, whereas the snowballs targets under crowd control effects. So yeah, that's basically just more snowballs. Each enemy can be attacked by a snowball every 2 seconds. Let's have a look. So it has to be your crowd control effects, freezing them for 6 seconds. So you're going to get at least 3 projectiles. The freeze duration is up to 8 seconds, so you'll get 4 projectiles. Damn. Carolina is going to get even better with lock-on projectiles. Yeah. She's just going to get better at what she does. This actually, I feel, is going to make Carolina... because there's no... It's not... So the difference between Carolina and Alsa is Alsa commits herself to the fight by jumping into melee range. Carolina does not. This seems kind of insane, actually. Carolina going to remain queen in her Eironn comps, I feel like. Let's have a look at Vala now. Gains... okay, battle momentum. Not seen this one before. Great. Gains 11% attack and 18 crit in the first 8 seconds of a battle. Defeating a non-summoned enemy while this buff is active extends its duration by 5 seconds. So that's just going to... that's going to make her even more powerful at getting that first kill. And then it extends the duration, which is going to synergize incredibly well with her Night Maneuver. So she's going to get haste and movement speed with battle momentum. Damn, that is a really nice addition for Vala. Everyone seems to be getting really good. I'll give my top 10 at the end of this, but yeah, just having a look at them for the time being. Vanguard's Bulwark grants a shield to the frontmost ally, excluding the caster, absorbing 340% attack damage for 4 seconds when the battle starts. That's really strong. Like with Thorin especially on the front line, just getting him to survive a little bit longer is super nice. That is great, and especially because Damien just... when you have his X weapon, he instantly heals anyway. So that's really, really cool. Super strong, and definitely a really nice addition. Let's have a look at Arden now. After 5, 25, and 40 seconds into a battle, summons an untargetable illusion that casts the non-ultimate skills in sequence, each with only 85% of the original attack. That's okay, right. So in sequence, Entangling Roots is a CC, so it completely locks people up for 2 seconds. Then recovers 12 plus 3 energy when another. That doesn't really make much sense because that's not going to benefit the illusions because they can't cast the ultimate unless they can cast the ultimate and they have their own energy bar. I don't know, but that doesn't really make much sense. That's not going to really be that great. Hero Focus and Thunderstorm. So it's basically just going to cast Entangling Roots. Yeah, it'll basically cast Entangling Roots. So if he had a second skill, that would be good. I'd need to know if these illusions have. I'd need to know if these illusions had. What's it called? If these illusions actually had the ability to cast the ultimate, because he doesn't get much benefit out of Nature's Resilience if on the it would just be casting Entangling Roots. You know, that skill very much depends if the illusions can cast the ultimate. If it can cast the ultimate, that sounds broken. If it can't cast the ultimate, I'd say relatively weak. Grants a shield that absorbs 280% damage every 2 seconds if HP drops below 30% in the first 15 seconds of battle. These shields can stack and remain effective until 15 seconds into the battle. Okay, wow. So essentially every time he recalls a Viper or drops below 30%, just grants a massive shield to himself. Would need to be healed up, obviously, to still make use of his kit, but very cool. Don't think it's the biggest thing in the world, but it's very unique to Viperion. Let's have a look at Nehru. I just got Nehru to literally just got Nehru to a Mythic Plus. Okay, so it's the same as. I actually think this is better for Nehru because Nehru goes into melee range, and so therefore he is going to make much more use of that shield. I feel like with Viperion, he's making less use of it. His HP is more important than the shield. If he had like a heal built into his kit, that would be cooler. But for Nehru, I actually really like this because it's going to give him the ability to potentially cast another ultimate more quickly. So I like that for Nehru. I think it's a very cool skill. Let's now have a look at Huin. Every 5, so same as Smokey, very similar to Smokey, and again she's obviously great at keeping people's HP topped up. So don't think it's going to. It's obviously good. I think this will be really good in PvP because Smokey is worse in PvP than Huin, but I don't see that Huin is going to get. I don't see that Huin is going to get spots over Smokey in like regular PvE or boss content just based on this. Antandra, my favorite. Grants a shield that absorbs 8% HP damage for 6 seconds when dealing ultimate damage to an enemy. Or 8% vitality, or 8% max HP. Okay, it absorbs 8% max HP damage. Yeah, look, the main issue I have with this is that you aren't, like, Antandra's just not going to cast all the time. So it's nice, but it's very contingent on Antandra casting, and especially at high level stuff, you don't actually tend to see Antandra even get her cast off. So yeah, it's mediocre, I would say. Coco, excited about this one. So very similar to Damien. I think that's decent. It's just a nice support skill. It's just a good little support skill for supporting your front line. This is actually going to be quite nice for pushing comps where you're running Coco and Brutus as the front line, because it just means that you'll be able to keep Brutus alive for just that little bit longer. So it's a really nice addition for that, but wouldn't say it's like a massive game changer or anything. Igor, let's have a look. Okay, I think this is nice, but Igor takes so long to cast his ultimate most of the time. After taking 3 normal attacks, Igor will... every time an enemy hero loses 40% of the HP, funeral... Igor deals Will always stand in the ring steadfast. Igor deals 150% damage to enemies when casting his ultimate. So it'll be when casting his ultimate, which is the big wave that drives out. But I wouldn't say that is massively influential. Igor's not really there for his damage. He's there to be a nuisance and just sort of survive. So I wouldn't say that this is the biggest deal in the world for Igor. It's okay. He's not really a big damage dealer though. Let's have a look at Cassadee. Energy Surge. Okay, so this is actually, I actually really like this for Cassadee because now that she's gonna, especially when you get her to Mythic Plus and Supreme Plus, it's actually really nice to have her cast her ultimate really quickly because there's a lot of CC. So it's until the first ultimate is cast. So obviously there might be people that cast a little quicker than her, but ultimately it's quite nice for Cassadee if you're gonna run her without Rowan. Like, the problem is that, and what I would say is that if you're going to run her with Rowan, you're not actually going to get that much use out of Energy Surge. And that's one of the problems with Energy Surge as a seasonal skill, is that it's really great on Rowan, but then if you're going to run anybody with Rowan, you're not going to get much effect out of it. Unless it means the first ultimate that Cassadee casts, in which case, yes. But it just says the first ultimate is cast. That doesn't say the first ultimate that Cassadee casts, it just says the first ultimate that is cast. Now look, here's the caveat. If this is the first ultimate that Cassadee casts, then it's a great combination with Rowan and she'll cast really quickly. If it's just the first ultimate that is cast and you put her with Rowan, Rowan's going to cast like 2 seconds into a fight because he also has Energy Surge. And that might mean that you're not going to get much efficiency out of this particular skill. So this is a caveat with the Energy Surge skill. You might not want to run people that have got 2 of them, especially if you're running it with Rowan. So I don't actually have all of the Celestials and Hypergeans, so I don't know if I'm going to be able to review those skills. I'll see if I can get access to them somehow. Increase haste for all deployed allies if they are alive 10 seconds into the battle. Increase the damage dealt by all deployed allies if they're 40 seconds into the battle. Yeah, the problem with this is that you have to run Lucius. And like, whilst he has definitely got some value in places, I think that haste by 8 is not great for everyone. Or it's okay, but it's not a big game changer. And then 40 seconds into a battle, like, that's really only fights that are going to be, you're going up like heavily in levels, because usually you're either going to steamroll something or you're not. And running Lucius in those sort of very high level battles is just not really used, so I don't see this being super useful. Okay, grants a shield, so just another shield. Nice, because again, Rainier is a support. I wonder if these can stack. I wonder if you can play multiple Vanguard's Bulwarks and just build a mega shield, but it is only for 4 seconds, and I just don't know how worth it that's going to be. But yeah, just nice to have another shield. It's like that skill, there's nothing bad about that skill, really. Gosh, we've got almost half to go. Let's have a look. Increase own haste by 21 for 10 seconds after each ultimate cast. Great. This is a great skill for Kruger, because you just want him to cast his ultimate more quickly. Kruger is there to cast his ultimate, and that's it. So on boss fights, increases haste by 10 seconds. He's going to generate energy more quickly. He's going to ult quicker, and it's going to cycle and cycle and cycle. And hopefully it means that on Dream Realm bosses, you will get massive debuff stacks from Kruger coming out, which is really cool. So I think this is a great skill for Kruger and will definitely impact his Dream Realm boss performance, making him even better, even more powerful as that debuff slot. Let's have a look at Sylvina now. Grants, so there's just basically... this is similar, so this is like the assassin one. I think this is also very good. Sylvina is much more of a direct backline threat attack, so grants getting that extra 11 attack and 18 crit in the first 8 seconds of battle is very strong, especially if you have her at Mythic Plus. I think this will make Sylvina a bit of a menace in PvP, so if you have Sylvina copies, she is definitely something to look at. Let's have a look at Leica. Increase the damage dealt to the target for 11% after dealing... So it's very similar to Florabelle. And this effect... Yeah, this effect can't stack. Yeah, I mean, look, she's not a... I rate that quite low because she's not exactly a primary damage dealer. Increase own haste. Takes forever to get her to cast her first ultimate. So that's similar to Kruger, but it takes forever to cast her first ultimate in the first place. So I don't really see that being a big deal. Increases the physical damage taken by adjacent enemies to 13%. This effect can't stack. Ooh. Okay. So, there are some bosses, specifically Necrodrakon, where Temesia is really good. So this is a 13% physical damage increase to enemies And on certain bosses, this is going to be very good. Now, I don't like this in a huge amount in terms of just general PvE, but this makes Temesia potentially a much more of a threat in the Dream Realm bosses where she was already very good, so allowing her to double down on that, which is very cool. Granny Darnie shoots a projectile. For every 2 seconds, your crowd control effects land on that target. I mean, it's good. I mean, her crowd control lasts for... How long does it last for? Within 2 tiles for 3 seconds. So it's just for 3 seconds. I guess the taunt potentially also counts. But yeah, I personally don't think that's the best thing in the world. I would love for there to have been like a much more tank-orientated season skill. I don't rate that one super highly on Granny Darnie. It's better on Carolina for sure. Gains a shield that absorbs when dealing ultimate damage. That's great for him. I mean, this is a great for Shakir because you play Shakir to get his ultimate to be cast. And so when he uses his ultimate, he'll get a massive shield out of it, which is great because it'll give him more survivability and then obviously keep him going in his ultimate form. I'm wondering... So... Lupinora dealing damage in the front radius. I'd need to know if this is just the first time he casts, because obviously he then never casts again. It's interesting to wonder whether how often he generates this 8% shield and whether it impacts him just dealing damage in his ultimate form. That's something for someone to test out, but I imagine that would be a bit OP if that was the case, so probably not the case. Brutus, probably something similar. Increases the physical damage taken by adjacent enemies to 13%. That's quite nice. If there were that many really strong... It probably works super well if you're running Reese, for instance. Because obviously you could have like Brutus at the front line for Reese or running Brutus in the Shakir comp, but otherwise like the regular comps that we see Brutus run in, you're generally seeing Odie as the primary carry. So I wouldn't say this is going to massively impact Odie's damage because he's mostly magic. But again, this could be really good in like a Reese and Shakir style comp and a Seth style comp. Faye. So the Mirage. Now she gets a heal, so that gets an extra heal for Faye. And then smacks a gem. And also restoring HP. So she's going to get 2 extra heals out of this. So this is much more useful than Arden, for instance, because she's going to get a heal and then another heal. So that's kind of interesting. Obviously reduces the healing they do, but she's going to get 2 extra heals out of her seasonal skill. So that could potentially make Faye a pretty strong sort of single target healer. Cast Vitality, restoring 300% HP and increasing their attack. So actually, unironically, her seasonal skill could be quite good. Maybe Faye potentially comes back into play through her form of her seasonal skill. I wouldn't say that there are any standout bad heroes that have suddenly become good because of the seasonal skill, but Faye is the first one that I've looked at and thought, yes, that could be very viable. Sylvena's not bad, so I'm not going to put that out there. Let's have a look at Salazar. Grants a shield. I mean, similar to the ones before. I still don't see Salazar being useful. That's the one where it grants a shield, similar to Neru and similar to Viperium. Don't think it's going to be a big deal for Salazar. Let's have a look at Reese now. Grants. I like this. I think this is very strong. So Reese generally tends to kind of kite away from enemies. I think this could be really good for Reese. I think he's already quite strong. I think he's kind of underrated as a hero, and we could potentially see Reese, especially in PvP, get a massive bonus out of this. So kind of exciting. I think this is a great seasonal skill for Reese. Brian, I assume this is going to be the crit one as well. Yes, so this is going to be similar. Again, another thing that I think could be really good for Brian. I think this could make him a pretty strong contender in PvP as well. So similar to Reese, they're both going to get crit and haste when there are no enemies within a 2-tile radius. These guys tend to stay at the back of fights, so that's pretty good. The only problem is that obviously if you're going into an Eironn comp, you're not going to get... Well, Reese doesn't get affected, right? Reese basically doesn't get affected by CC. So he might be able to escape that. But for instance, like Brian, he's going to get pulled in by Eironn in PvP most times. So he might not even get that much value out of this. And that's one of the things to be aware of with this skill, is that obviously the meta comp of Eironn still exists. He's still one of the go-to heroes. And so you might not actually even this skill might not even work in a lot of circumstances. have a look at Satrana. It increases the magic dam. Oh, okay. Increases the magic damage taken by adjacent enemies to 13%. That's kind of interesting. Okay, this is distracting. I don't know if anyone else is... I don't know if you saw it, but she was just doing like a belly dance, and there was some physics going on, and it was extremely distracting. I can't do this. It's distracting. Increased magic damage. There are not many skills in the game apart from Cassadee that does this. So I'm kind of interested to see this come into play. I think this could be really good and could actually make Satrana a pretty interesting addition to teams. So I think this is a really, really good skill. It's the first time that I've seen this seasonal skill when we've been running through it. And I think by increasing magic damage, especially because magic damage is so meta, that's really good. Really, really cool. Could make Satrana a potentially a very viable pick. Walker. Gains a 460% damage skill upon receiving an assist or kill for the first time. The shield expires after 3 seconds if the battle has lasted 15 seconds. Otherwise, it remains active until it absorbs the magic damage. Nah, I don't really. It's not going to make Walker good, is it? Let's have a look at Scarlita. Increased haste by 8 for all deployed allies. So for instance, this is actually quite good because generally with Scarlita you run stool compositions. So in general, this skill is going to synergize really well with Scarlita. Doesn't really work with Lucius because he's not really running stool comps that much, whereas Scarlita you tend to run stool comps in some way, shape or form. And so I think this actually could be really useful. So increasing haste if they're alive by 10 seconds and then increasing all damage for allies by 8% if they're alive 40 seconds into a battle. Very, very good in potentially like the Graveborn stool comp as well. Let's have a look at Seth. I assume this is going to be grants a shield. So this is a bit better for Seth because in general he throws himself into the fight, and then if he gets an assist or kill with his ultimate, then that shield's going to be really useful for him to start into snowball. Seth is a very snowball orientated character, so this could potentially make him feel a bit better in that regard. Do I think it's going to suddenly make Seth meta? Maybe not so much of a change as like Faye or Satrana, but I think like it definitely is a really nice thing for Seth. Atlanta. Okay, so this is the elusive Mirage. Swings her whip, knocking them back 2 tiles and immobilizing them for 3 seconds. If there's another enemy behind, Atlanta will knock that target and immobilizing both of them. So you're going to get some CC out of it. And it shoots an explosive bolt, dealing damage. Okay, so basically a bit of damage. And obviously gets better the more it goes. But that's, a bit of extra damage and some extra CC. Potentially could make Atlanta a bit interesting. As well as that, you've got to remember, you've kind of got to think about positioning with Atlanta to an extent. So this is going to make it a lot more like CC being applied. But it is at 5, 25, and 40 seconds into a battle. So interesting to see how this one runs. Yeah, very, very cool. But I don't know if it's going to make Atlanta like super meta. Let's have a look at our boy. This is energy, so he just grants energy. Could be good. Potentially could be good. I don't know if it will make Kafra meta though. Similar thing to Rowan is where if you really Rowan is the only one that really benefits from that, especially if it's just the first ultimate. It just depends whether it means that character's first ultimate or the first ultimate overall. Let's have a look at Valen, our trusty Valen. Similar, okay, very similar to Seth. Like Valen is one of those reset heavy kind of. When they ult, they commit themselves, so they need to get the kill. That's the thing, though. You need to get the kill. And a lot of the times, you've also got to cast your ultimate to get this to work. And versus like meta comps, that's just never going to happen. So I don't know if it's going to suddenly make him very good, but it definitely helps him be stronger at what he's supposed to do. I really want more Parissa copies, guys. Increases own haste. Brilliant. I mean, Parissa, this is exactly what you want for Parissa. She wants to cast her ultimate more and more. And therefore, if she gets haste after she casts her own ultimate, she's going to sort of snowball her ultimates. Really, really nice addition for Parissa. And I think, yeah, could make her very, very strong. Could potentially even put her as a contender in that Eironn composition, for instance. Yeah, love this for Parissa. Okay, so there are some heroes that I don't own, like Lamont and a couple of the Hypergean and Celestials. So we're going to go have a look at those guys, hopefully on Pride Win if they've got them. Okay, I found you can actually find them in the collection, so I didn't realize that. Guardian Shield, if HP loads with 30% for these shields are effective. Okay, so I mean, you know, GENUINELY, that's great for him. Survivability is great. He wants to kind of exist and longer into the fight, so you sustain him. He does well. You know, I think it just plays into what GENUINELY's already good at, so that's fine. I assume this is going to be... Oh, okay. After casting an ultimate, deal damage to the current target with the next 4 skill casts or normal attacks. Shadows dealing... Okay, that's interesting. I thought he was going to get the assassin-type crit one, but this is going to be making him much more ultimate reliant, which I think is pretty cool. And yeah, that's... Don't see it making him super meta, because he obviously does like to be... attacking enemies that are isolated, which doesn't tend to happen in the current meta. But yeah, that's perfectly fine. I think the only ones that I don't own is Lamont, Burial, and GENUINELY. So we're going to go for Lamont now. Increases haste. So this is just similar to Lucius. You know, Lamont, I don't see this being a big deal for Lamont. Personally, he's not being used in these kind of stall comps anyway. Obviously, he is pretty good once he gets rolling at kind of stalling things out, but frankly, this is kind of... this doesn't directly affect him. It's much more a team-wide support buff thing. And actually, there are other heroes that have this that could be much more viable than Lamont. Okay, so that means we have done our full review on every single seasonal skill. Who do I think are the big winners? Well, the biggest winners to me are Satrana. She has a very unique... seasonal skill that no one else has, which increases magic damage, which in combination... Stop wiggling, Satrana. In combination with like Alsa, who is the new magic damage dealer, and Odie, this could be super strong for them. So that's really interesting, and I think like I might even put Satrana on my wish list now. And the other one is potentially Faye. She gets more healing at 5, 25, and 40 seconds into the battle. Do I think it's going to have to make her meta? I do think it's a nice upgrade for her, but I don't know. In terms of our regular winners, Carolina is a massive winner. This just is going to make her infinitely better at what she already does, and that is just going to make her even more meta in my eyes. I think Smokey is a big winner. I think Odie, Corin, and Marillee are big winners. I think Thorin is a big winner. And I think also Eironn is a big winner. So the people that were already pretty good. I actually don't think Arden is that big of a winner here, just because his second skill does friggin' nothing. So he's going to get an elusive mirage that simply just casts Entangling Roots, which could be good, obviously. Will help him generate his own ultimate much more quickly too, but it's not as much of a big deal. I think in terms of supports as well, I think Damien and Coco are good winners here. I think Kruger is a big winner. And I also think Parissa. I think Parissa is another big winner in this regard. So, and also Reese. I think Reese has benefited from this quite nicely. So those are my sort of big winners from this. I hope you guys have enjoyed. And yeah, I will see you very soon.